Hello and welcome to my latest weekly video news from Madison. So I'm doing this at the end of the day on Tuesday because I forgot my mic this morning. So I had to come into the office at the end of the day. So sorry if I'm looking a bit more dishevelled. I've been out in some very windy gardens today. But let's bring you up to speed with the big stories breaking in the news and political stuff going on this week. So of course, there's a lot going on with the Labour government, isn't there, at the moment, and Sir Keir Starmer's leadership. So it'll be interesting to see what plays out there. But of course, Conservative government jumping on the bandwagon to talk about one of their big manifesto pledges they made, which was they would abolish stamp duty. So they feel that the stamp duty is a huge burden that's stopping the housing market wheels turn. It's leaving people in big homes scared to move. First-time buyers are unable to get onto the housing market ladder. And ultimately, people moving generates money in the economy. You pay a solicitor, an agent, a remover, and then you do a load of work in your new home. So they want the housing market wheels to turn. So them pledging again that they would look to abolish stamp duty if they come into power. How would they pay for that? Well, they'd cut the benefits bill and they'd also cut overseas aid to balance the books. Because it would be a big hit to the Treasury if stamp duty was abolished. There's no doubt that it is a big super earner. So yeah, really interesting to see what will happen as we go through this interesting time over the summer months of what's going on in the government and working out what will happen from here. So yeah, Conservatives talking about that. And of course, another big political thing that happened last week was the Renters' Rights Act. So it came into force on the Friday, the 1st of May, and became part of Parliament's bill on the 8th of May. And we had our seminar up at Kingdom, which was really well attended. Thank you so much to everybody who turned up and supported us on that. We had a really, really great night. Had my husband James, who gave an overview of kind of what the changes were, along with Berrien Lambert, Darren Forrester, who came along, specialises in tenant disputes, etc. We had Jack Sales talking about tax and making tax digital and the changes in different ways that you can look to be more efficient with how you hold your property investment stock. And then we had Paul Champlina, one of arguably the most biggest high profile names in the world of landlord rights actions. And one of the biggest messages he gave, despite the changes that are happening, we know the big changes. There's no more Section 21 no-fault evictions. You have to cite grounds now to get your tenant out of the property. There's also no more fixed-term tenancies. It's all periodic. And there is no rent increases in terms of when you do them now, you have to go within a certain section process, within a certain time of the rent tenancy, and you can't let the property for more than you advertised it for. So those are the big changes. But Paul's overwhelming steer on it is if you are still a buy-to-let landlord, because so many buy-to-let landlords have exited the market, those who've stayed in will get better rent. It's a classic supply and demand issue. So if you've stuck in, it will remain a good investment, but there's no doubt you now need professional help. So if anybody would like to speak to one member of our fabulous lettings team here at Madison's, please do give us a call. Well, the only other headline that caught my eye, The Independent on the 1st of May, doom and gloom, property transactions down 41%, complete nightmare scenario being spun out in the property world, but it's not like that. What they did in that headline was they compared to the end of March's figures to the end of March last year. And if you remember, talking about stamp duty as we were at the beginning of this vlog, the stamp duty rates reduced from the end of March last year. So you had a big hiatus of deals trying to get through to take advantage of those savings. So accordingly, if you compared March's figures for this year to March's last year, of course they're going to be down. So it's a big headline winner that was completely misleading. Transactions in March were actually at a 6-year high, so going really, really well, showing that well-priced, well-presented property still sells well. But the biggest headline of where there is difficulty is time from offer to exchange. So 17 weeks is now the average. I think that is appalling. I did a podcast last week for Ian Preston, who runs a fabulous consultancy and estate agency network up in the north of the country. And he asked me, what do I think will be a habit that agents will no longer do in 3 years' time? And I pray it's sales progression. I'm hoping that through better systems, better standards, more cross-communication, that checking and chain checking of where things are at will become a thing of the past in terms of how we do it now. But let's wait and see. I live in hope always. A final mention this week before I head off of some lovely St John's properties. So these all are my fabulous sales director's Karen's properties. So I have to refer to my paper. But she's had an absolute glut of launching things on St John's. So we've got a really nice property on John Street. John Street's such a lovely little road, beautiful architecture, really close to all the main hustle and bustle of St John's, and that's on a nice price point, offers in excess of 520. We've then got our lovely 3-bed on Newlands Road. It's got really good parking, and the garden overlooks the wreck at the back. That's on at 695. Colverton Park Road, just round the other side of the St John's Road to Newlands Road, lovely Victorian architecture. That one on at a guide of 700,000. And then finally a nice 4-bed on Hopwood Gardens, which is back on the other side of the road. I'm flip-flopping on either side of the St John's Road here, on at 765,000. So some beautiful properties there in St John's, which are all huddling around that nice price point. So you've got children and you really want to take count of great schooling, be that primary or secondary, then they are the ones for you. I hope they're of interest. Give us a call. I hope you have a lovely week. I look forward to seeing you next week. Bye-bye.